everyone. Welcome to Soul Quest, episode 61 with the lovely Amy Adler. Thank you, Amy, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Amy is a friend that I met through the Cosmic Mastermind. She was a participant last year in 2024, and we started doing some projects together, and I really connect with Amy on all levels. So we have a lot in common, and we love to have deep spiritual talk, which I love about friends. So Amy is a manifesting generator, sacral authority. What's your profile?
5-2.
5-2. Okay, and your sun and rising sign?
I'm Scorpio Sun, Gemini rising.
Okay, love it.
Yeah, we always like to ask our guests when we start this podcast, like, what kind of upbringings did you have as a child? Like, what led you to where you are today? What was your quest? Everything that happened from, I mean, not everything, but, just the major pinpoints that happened in your life from a child to, where you are today.
Okay, well, I definitely did not have it the easiest childhood. Although I think probably the most interesting thing for me to talk about related to that is religion. I grew up in the Jewish community in a suburb of Dallas, Texas, where my family was the only Jewish family in my whole school. And my mom would come to school when I was in elementary school and actually like teach my class about Hanukkah every year. And this made me feel so different and a little bit special, but also wishing that I was more like the other kids because the same we didn't have a Christmas tree growing up, and we were different. And I never really fully felt like I belonged. I think that I was designed that way, to feel like I don't belong, that Earth is this strange place for me to be a human, although I have had a lot of lives here. Um, so as a kid, although nobody ever really persecuted me for being Jewish, I never really felt any of that or any discrimination. I did just feel different and like I couldn't relate, and never really felt like I had my tribe until I became a member of the youth group in high school. That my parents joined a congregation when I was about 8 years old, from that point on, I finally realized I had a tribe, that I was liked. I discovered that I could sing while I was in the religious practice, learning how to chant in Hebrew, to be leading services and things like that for my bat mitzvah when I turned 13. And so I actually tell people, and I really believe that Judaism actually saved me when I was a kid. It was such a loving, warm, comfortable, familiar environment, and people, they got me, like they understood me and they liked me. And that was really different from my experience in public school, in the school system in Dallas. And so I decided when I was in my late teens, getting ready to graduate high school and go to college, that I wanted to become clergy. I wanted to be a cantor when I grew up, when I finished as an adult for my career. And my rabbi advised that I should consider going to college and getting a degree and doing work for a couple of years to get some real life experience before I go off to the clergy school. And so I did that. I got my degree in accounting and became an expert in accounting and finance, and never went to clergy school. I tried, which actually was part of what led me to my first divorce.
Wow. Okay, so tell our audience, what exactly is a cantor?
Yeah, the cantor is the musical member of the clergy in the Jewish community. So I as a cantor, I could perform weddings, I could perform baby namings, bris ceremonies, the circumcision, and bar
Wow.
mitzvahs, all the things in the life cycles, in addition to like leading services and things like that.
Wow, you were really deep in it.
Yeah,
Wow.
how old were you, would you say, at that time? Like you just got out of college and then you were trying to do that, like become a camp, like you're going for that?
Well, the congregation that I grew up in Dallas didn't have a cantor. So actually, right after my bat mitzvah, when I turned 13, immediately they asked me if I would start leading the services there. So at 13 was when I started becoming a cantor. I didn't actually go to any formal training until many years later, but and that was just a little bit. So
Wow.
yeah, I
So,
kind of learned on the job
yeah, so
at
you
13.
mentioned it led to your first divorce. How so?
So when I was in my mid to late 20s, after my first child was born, we moved back to Austin. We were in the Chicago. Actually, we moved to Austin before my kiddo was born, but while we were in process and after we got back to Austin was when I realized that I wanted to start revisiting that opportunity to switch out of my finance career that I didn't really like that much, accounting career, and go into the clergy. And it involved, we went to New York, which is where the school is, the seminary for training cantors for the conservative Jewish religion. So people that are kind of in the middle of the road, like in terms of level of religiousness and observation, um, conservative in New York. And I fell in love with the place, and I applied and got accepted. And at that time, my then husband was really apprehensive about the program itself because it meant us moving to Israel for the first year and then 4 years in New York before then I would be placed in a congregation after I finished school. He just didn't want to do that. He thought he wasn't going to be able to work while we went to Israel, and he wasn't going to be able to work in New York, which in hindsight was ridiculous because he's a jeweler. So Israel is kind of the diamond mecca of the world. And so is New York. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was really not really a valid argument, but it really made me realize just how unsupportive the marriage was of me and who I authentically wanted to be, and that it was time to sever that relationship. That at that point we had our two children, and so and I met that goal of having all my kids before I turned 30. So I was ready to move on at, not long after that, from that
Wow.
marriage.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It is.
I
I
do,
think
I want to ask us, I want to know more about that
I
experience,
do too.
but so, and so now I've met you after you've left the clergy. And so how did that go down?
Wow, such a loaded question, but a good one.
I know.
It's been 10 years now since I met the, uh, actually, it might be more than that, since I met the rabbi, the last rabbi that I worked with here in Austin. He is gay and comes from a family of rabbis. And the reason why his sexual orientation matters is because traditionally, like in more Orthodox religion, they don't really accept anybody who's not heterosexual in nature. So he was already against the norm. He was definitely doing something, and I mean he was not Orthodox rabbi. He was a Reform rabbi, but he just had a very different way of approaching religion and life, and it was really cool for me to work with him because he gave me the space to allow more of my own authenticity to come through my music. And so our services were no longer this traditional old school style Hebrew that maybe had some nostalgic feelings for some people and for me a little bit here and there, but the vast majority of it bored me out of my mind. And I just didn't want to go to services anymore. But he gave me permission to start creating something different with music. And I was starting to actually take a lot of the pop Christian music and connect it with some of the Hebrew Jewish music, and kind of meshed it into something new and different that was really fun, and creative for me that I really enjoyed. And so I did that for a couple of years before I realized that I was doing that to kind of to try to fill this hole that was not fillable, which was just that I don't identify with organized religion at all anymore. So although I kept doing it for a few more years because I appreciated the opportunity to still have music in my life in a significant way. I retired from the congregation that I had been at for 20 years, that I worked at since I was in college, in 2017. And since then, really have not been part of it except for a couple of years ago when an old colleague managed to convince me to come to do it again for a little bit. But again, it just reminded me, it just solidified that I don't identify with the bow here, light this candle here, sing this song here. You must be here on Friday night and study and sing with other people, right? And although I enjoyed it when I wanted to be there, it wasn't enjoyable when I didn't want to be there anymore.
I'm sure. Wow. That I can't, that's like looking back on the journey of the moments you started to think, oh, this isn't right, or this doesn't feel right to me at least. So you feel like it was when you started working with that man?
Well, it was a process, and
Yeah.
it was in tandem with my second divorce, which started in 2016, that I think really was what sparked my spiritual awakening process. I just became much more aware of how I'd just been going with the motions for all aspects of my life: religion, work, my kids, my dealing with my then first ex-husband, um, trying to just go through life and achieving and accomplishing all the things that I thought I wanted in my teens and 20s, that I realized I didn't actually care about anymore. And so it was just that was the start of the unwinding of this lifetime part of my lifetime of building up something that I didn't actually really want. But I needed it, so I don't regret any of it. I needed it all to be able to be who I am today and do what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
totally get that. I was born and raised Catholic until I was about 12. So like, that kind of monogamous Catholic, like, man, I just couldn't take it anymore when I was a kid. And, I went to CCE class, did my first communion, and I just like, I felt I was always questioning everything. So, like, just like, there's more to it than just this. So I feel like you experienced that for sure. And
Totally. Yes. Yes. Catholics and Jews have a lot in common, actually. I think they're very
Yeah,
similar
they're both very
culturally.
ceremonial, very superstitious, very like, strict. It seems like I grew up Methodist, so yeah, I was always questioning, and oh gosh, I really disliked going to Sunday school whenever my mom would make me. I just told her recently that I used to skip once I got to high school and she started trying to make me go, I would just go in and to go hang out in the bathroom. I wouldn't even go in the class. And she was like,
Sharon.
like, I just don't understand. How do we know this is true? And
Yeah.
it's funny how, as a kid, a lot of people question, a lot of kids will question, like, wait, is this true? And then there's some that just follow to follow along, right? I was one of those that was questioning, is this true? The Bible's not true. But now I'm on the other side where I can say, oh, it is really about faith and what you feel inside, right? So it's like you have to find this balance of faith and are you following, what an organized religion is doing? Like, are you feeling inside, knowing your own personal faith? Is this right or is this wrong? Like with Judaism and Christianity, like there are, lots of truth to it,
Yeah.
right? And we do benefit from a lot of the teachings of the religions, the ones that, all the teachings that blend together for all the religions, right? There's definitely a benefit to it. And like you said, you don't regret it. You
Yeah.
needed it. It saved you.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I think Judaism saved me in high school. It really gave
Yeah.
me life and a voice and a feeling of belonging that I didn't have before that. So I have so much gratitude for the religion and the friends that I had and family that I had in that world. And actually, what's interesting about Judaism is that we are encouraged to question, highly encouraged to question things.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's not that. It's more the rituals that are still old school, that are just that well, and my human design, my numerology, all the things are very obviously that I do not like being told what to do. I like to decide for
I
myself what
always
works
say
for me
that
in
to
that
him.
moment. And so I didn't like somebody else telling me when to
Yeah.
bow, when to show up, when to not show up, when to not eat, like all those. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, thank you. I'll decide when it works for me. And yeah,
Yeah.
and Judaism just wasn't conducive to that.
Yeah. I get it.
I know I tried Yom Kippur one day because I had some Jewish clients, and like I was like, damn, I tucked it out though. I mean, I was so hungry and so thirsty, stuck to my
It's
guts.
torture. Yeah, I don't understand why. I mean, we are so hard on ourselves already for all year. Why do we need a day to torture ourselves
I
even more?
I
And in the
know.
clergy,
And I tell him Cisco he likes to do, what's that one thing you like to do every year where you starve yourself for like a month? What?
Oh, um, dang, I forget. It's part of Islam,
for Ramadan,
Ramadan.
Ramadan, Ramadan.
I
He
do it every
he
year.
has a friend that does that, right? So every year he starts off trying to do it, and I'm like, I don't understand. This is, you don't even agree with religion, so why are you even doing this? Like, I just don't,
I have
but
my reasons,
he's
but like a
he's
lot of
a
people I know that do Ramadan, like, they drink their water during the day. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it exactly how you're supposed to do it. And I'll go all day from sun up
yeah,
to sundown, no water, and then exercising and training people. And yeah,
yeah.
I've only lasted 7 days. Like
But
my body started collapsing. Like, you know,
yeah, he never made it that long, but he would always be like, "Should I give up?" I'm like, "I don't know why you're doing this," but I what I see is he's a double Capricorn. He's a very hard worker, and I think that he likes to challenge himself in that way, and that's why you do it. You like to do hard things for some reason. I don't know.
I
challenge.
have a Capricorn moon sign, so I'm right there with you.
Oh, I'm Capricorn moon too.
Ah,
That means we're very disciplined with our emotions, and totally am.
sometimes
Okay,
too
so
much.
so many interesting things to talk about
I
with
know. I
that,
want to.
but um, so tell us about how you've created this business on your experience with divorce and your experience in the finance world.
Okay. So, like I said, I never really liked accounting, but I did it anyway. I studied it and I was good at it. And so I did the corporate accounting in all kinds of different environments for almost 20 years. And the last 10 years of that before I left were in the like healthcare, health insurance, financial auditing realm. And so when I got divorced the second time, I got really sick physically. And in the healing process, I learned to start slowing down and not needing to be so ambitious. And I mean, I was a single mom too, so I was trying to do all the things, and I was turning 40. So this is like that pivotal point in people's lives where things start breaking down if you're not taking care of them, but also we tend to start having spiritual awakenings and things like that at that stage. And so it was right there. Like at 39 was when I got that second divorce. And during that year, when I turned 40, was when I was recovering from illness right after that. And towards the end of that recovery period, I was really into yoga, hot yoga, especially. I went to this yoga class that was at the same studio that I was going to at least a few times a week. And this class was like a yin class, very relaxing. And at the very end of the class, legs up the wall pose, all of a sudden, literally, it was like a voice spoke to me, like I heard. There was nobody in the room talking to me, but a voice spoke and said, Amy, you need to use your personal experience and your professional expertise to help other people in divorce. And I popped up out of my pose. I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds so amazing. Finally, I'm going to do something accounting related that I'm going to like, that's going to feel rewarding. Because, by the way, I'm a Pisces midheaven, which means like my work is supposed to be meaningful and of service to others. But all that time in the 20 years, I was focusing on corporate. And I said this all the time too. I felt like I was making the greedy richer while I was doing that work. It just wasn't feeding my soul the way that I needed. And when I had this idea, I ran to my boss the next day. I was working at a local CPA firm. I ran to my boss the next day and I said, I had this amazing idea. I think we need to start a division for divorce financial consulting. He loved the idea. He said, go for it. Let me go. He let me go get the license, the certification for divorce financial analysts, and let me start networking and doing all this stuff. I mean, of course, I still had to do my other work, that the audit work related to the healthcare finance stuff. But I was managing a team of 10 auditors at that time. So really it was starting to be pretty well-oiled machine. And there was plenty of opportunity for me to take the time to do this networking and build up this business. Well, so this was in 2018, 2019. And in 2020, when COVID hit, I was supposed to become partner because I had grown that part of the business. I had grown the health insurance auditing part of the business. I was really kind of an invaluable member of the firm's team and was ready to be partner. And so when COVID hit, my boss reached out to me and said, I am really sorry, but the partners that are existing right now are not getting along. And I don't even know if there's going to still be a firm left by the time like COVID is behind us. And so that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was like, I have busted my butt for so long for this firm. And I've been creative. I've come up with all these great new policies within the firm too, to help employee engagement and longevity to retention. And I thought, all right, this is my sign that it's time for me to go and to take this divorce consulting business with me and start it on my own. So I did. I found another job that was just an easy kind of state job that I thought I would keep that and work the divorce work on the side for a few years until I built it up enough that I could do it full time. But it only took 14 months before that business was very successful. I was able to quit that job and do it full time. And that's where I've been ever since.
Wow.
Nice, dude. I love hearing stuff like that.
I
Thanks.
know how you were
It's
led
so
to.
meaningful. It is so much more meaningful than any corporate accounting work.
I'm sure. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're helping so many. And I love how you're bringing spirituality, like we talked about yesterday when I was on your podcast, how you're, bringing human design into, helping with the ex spouses, or how you're
Yeah.
helping them like work with each other, and how it helps you work with them by bringing in human design and spirituality and numerology. I
It
love
makes
that.
sense to me. It totally makes sense to me. Like you get to figure out more in depth, like what is this person, according to their signs. It's like, oh, okay, okay. Like people should probably fill that stuff out before they get married. Like I'm this, I'm that, I'm this and that. So I know we're this, there's all these different variations. Of course, everyone's different, but like you can get a better understanding from it. You know what I mean? If like Sharon does all that. I mean, to me, like she gets all my numbers and figures it out, and then she tells me stuff I don't even know. I mean, I understand from what she tells me, but the more she talks about it, and I get it a little bit more too. But yeah, it totally makes sense. Like,
It really does. And that's really what kind of drove me to building up this new business now that I'm in process
Yeah, tell
of
us about that.
getting ready to launch, which is educating other professionals in the finance industry in particular about the not only the specifics around how to help people avoid some of the crap that happens in the divorce process financially for people that ends up really hurting them, to try to educate them so they can give better advice to their clients earlier in their lives, before they buy their first home, before they buy or before they get married, before they invest in brokerage accounts or whatever, to help them understand what it means for them down the road, but also to understand more about their human design, their numerology, their astrology. When is the right time to buy a house? What is the energy of a house? And how do we match the energy of that house with the client, the energy of the client, right? So there's and in my divorce business, Sharon, you were just talking about how I'm using that too. And yeah, it just makes sense because as soon as I learned that numerology was a thing, which was only a few years ago, I'm still a novice, but I love it so much that I research the heck out of everything I like until I'm an expert. So that's what I do and have done with numerology to an extent. I started realizing that the information that I got from numerology about myself and about my kids and my friends, and I ran everybody's numerology as soon as I learned how to do it. And everyone was just blown away by how accurate it is and how interesting it was, that it was showing such deep information about a person and explained so much that just felt so validating and helpful, that I realized that I could use that information for my divorcing clients, just to understand what's underlying the things that they're arguing about, what's underlying their negotiations that might be preventing them from coming to an agreement. It's actually made me a way better mediator as a result, because I can understand before we even get to mediation. I know so much about each one of them and what they need and what their path is, that I can help them and they don't even know. Like, this is the first time that I'm having a conversation publicly about the fact that I do this. So if any of my clients watch, then they're going to be finding out along with the rest of the world that I do this. I don't tell anybody. It's just a way for me to gather more information about them so that I can help them
but it
Yeah,
makes sense. It makes total
yeah.
sense. Total.
And so the new business that you're doing, the Life Transitions University,
mm-hmm.
right? Correct?
uh-huh.
Um, what is your hope for that?
Such a great question. I am aiming to help the whole population, really the whole world, but definitely the United States, disengage from all of the broken systems that have been controlling us for decades, if not centuries. And the way to do that, to initiate change in these systems, is by teaching people how to take their own personal sovereignty back.
Yeah.
We all should have the ability to feel confident that we can make our own decisions for ourselves. And I'm talking mostly in the financial space because that's where my area of expertise is, but really this applies to everything. So I'm educating professionals, and eventually I will also be educating the general public about where the broken kinks are in the system, in all of the systems, in our banking system, in our health insurance and healthcare system, in the education system, in the family law system, but also the overarching legal system. I mean, I could go on forever, the religious system, about all of the different systems that are broken and how we've given our power away to them for so long that we've forgotten, we don't even realize that we've given our power away to them. So now here's the opportunity to teach people how to take it back and how to do so safely in a way that feels empowering and successful, instead of just like let's drop and hope that everything's going to be okay, because that's scary for people. So if I can teach them how to self-insure, for example, with health insurance, to avoid paying health insurance companies their money anymore. We don't have to commit murder of CEOs of health insurance companies to keep our money and to be able to get healthcare the way we deserve and want to be taken care of. We can do that by just disengaging and not giving them our money, but we have to teach people how to do that and still feel safe, like they've got the support that they need for their healthcare when they're sick or when they're hurt. And so that's really my goal, is to be able to demonstrate by leading by example myself, and also to teach people how to feel confident in taking that sovereignty back financially.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, I like the way you said it. You're like, we could just hope that it's all going to happen, but a lot of it has to do with just taking action with yourself. And you being the person that you are, you want to help people take that action. So like,
Yes.
instead of just saying, "Oh, I cross my fingers. I hope it's gonna work." A lot of people are like that. A lot. Like,
Right.
let's just hope, hope, hope. But man, I'm a big believer in taking action, and I talk about that quite sometimes to other people. It's like, dude, ain't no one gonna do it for you, you know? Like, and I know we all get in a rut sometimes. Like, I don't want to do it, but it's so rewarding when you do it. You know, I always think that.
Yes. And my numerology, like if you look at my numerology chart, most of the numbers in my birth date are in the lowest part of the tic-tac-toe board, which means that the lowest row is related to the physical realm. The middle is the spiritual, and the top is the emotional. I think I might have the
Oh,
top two mixed up, but yeah. So the numbers 1, 4, and 7 are the energy of the physical. So if you
okay.
look at your birth date and you see a lot of numbers in that physical row, that means that you're very physically inclined. Well, I was born on November 15th and in the year 1977. So I have, all those 1s and 2 7s all on the bottom row right there, which means like I'm a doer. I am a practical step taking. It's really hard for me to learn from people who talk in theory. I need the steps. Tell me what to do to be able to make things happen for myself. And so that's what makes me, I think, good at too, being able to teach, because I'm like able to think in the step by step
Hmm.
method. So it's yeah, it's
So,
definitely innate in my personality to just show people how to
yeah,
safely take care of themselves
I
financially.
I can see that. You are definitely natural at that. So, can we talk about numerology for a bit?
Yeah.
I was real into it maybe like 5 years ago. I mean, for real into it, I mean like for a week. I was looking up numbers with this book, and I wrote down Cisco. Okay, so I remember when I was going through it, and I was getting Cisco's info, and I looked up his life path, and he's a 33-6. Isn't that like
You're
something
a
really?
33? Wow.
Yeah. And so when it's a double digit like 33 or 22, like you can leave it as that or you can combine it, right? So I remember
Master
looking it up and
33s.
And it was like something like very like I was like, "Whoa, you have this amazing number." And I had a dream that night after I looked up his number. I was like, I had a dream that he was like a mayor or something, and we were like under this rainbow arc. And all because I had looked up his number and I saw that was very like, wow, you're supposed to be like a leader or something.
A teacher. Master 33 is the master teacher. Like Master 33s have had a lot of lives. You're an old soul and a very important one. There are not very many Master 33s out there.
Well,
Look at you.
Sharon believes I used to be starving in my past life.
Yeah, no, he's had past lives where he was starving because in this life, everybody's always feeding him.
I'm fortunate that people feed me a lot, and I love it.
So my life path is seven.
That makes perfect sense.
What does that mean? I don't even
Seven
remember.
is the number of spirituality. So you're here to learn how to be a spiritual person in this lifetime.
Oh, okay, that totally is my goal in life. What
And
about the
you
death
are?
me?
What are
My
you?
life path is a 5. So there's two numbers that are the most important
That's
for
my
like,
destiny number.
yeah, that's the other number I was going to say
Okay.
that's important.
So
My
what's a
life
five?
path number is a 5, which is all about change, progression, innovation, travel.
And that
Yeah,
would
it fits me.
that fits me too, and it also fits my Aquarius rising.
Yeah, so there's a lot
And
of really great parallels to astrology. I feel
yeah,
like numerology and astrology are just different
yeah,
ways of serving up the same information based on what resonates, what's easier for people to understand. Astrology, I'm still struggling to digest. Like, I mean, there's so much to
yeah,
it, but also science was never my thing. It was math. Like math was made much more sense to me.
yeah.
So,
I get it. I get it.
uh,
Cisco is a eight destiny. That's all I have for him.
okay, well, 8 is the number of abundance, of power, and lack of limitation. So you have a lot of learning and responsibility in this lifetime. It's like eights are really good managers. They're really good. They tend to be well if you're in alignment, right? If you're
Yeah,
not yourself, then you can be
right.
lazy. But the 8 destiny number means that like by the time you're in your 50s, you should be living a very like powerful, like feeling very powerful, limitless, and abundant kind of life.
We'll find out this year because I'll
Yeah.
be 50. I'll be 50 this year. So
Okay.
So
Well, I mean, it may not be right at 50, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Just
because
like
your
with
life path number is 33. So your pinnacles started when you were, let's see, 30. So 30, 39, 48, 57. You might not quite get to your destiny until later in 50s. Yeah, for you.
I always think that too, because I was kind of like what you said earlier in the beginning of this podcast. You're like, man, I was always trying to like just do so much until you hit like 39, 40, and then I
Crash.
felt that way too. Like Sharon knows, like when I was in my, like 43, 44, like I was just like, I'm tired. I'm not that I tell my younger clients this. I'm like, dude, you're gonna realize one day, like you being the go-getter and trying them, it's good. It's all experience. But man, there's gonna be a point in time you're gonna, don't look back and regret it, but just I was like, don't try too hard. You know what I'm saying? Like as Americans also too, like I mean, my generation's like, do, like you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you gotta be successful by, in your late 20s, early 30s. But like, man, I've just seen all those people that did that, like they got issues today. You know what I mean? Because they tried so hard and it didn't work out like they wanted to. I just think we got it backwards, like we as a society, especially
yeah,
here in America, like I think
yeah.
we should take it a little bit easier. Just a
We're
You're
little.
learning the hard way, that's for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he has a 3 in his human design profile, and he's a double Capricorn, and so that really aligns with what you were saying about the 8. A
Hmm.
lot of learning to do, and manager. Um, Capricorn
Well,
is ruled by Saturn. Huh?
if 33, if you turn them around and put them together, it makes eight, though. You know what I'm saying? If you opposite
Oh,
attract them,
wow.
put them together, it makes an eight. I
That's
just thought about
that's very visual.
that.
Yeah, I
Wow.
was like, no, 33 and 3 is 6. But yeah,
Oh,
I
No,
see
but
what you mean when you turn it around.
no.
it's
Like
big
with
Hey,
spaceship.
yeah,
two, three. You
yeah,
see how I make three? That makes
yeah.
eight.
I get it. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Very
really cool.
interesting noticing that.
It's
Awesome.
very interesting. Yeah. My destiny number is 11. So the
Ooh,
master numbers, those double numbers are usually people who are old souls who have like big purpose on the planet in this lifetime. So 11 is the master intuitive. So
wow.
my like I'm supposed to be building my spiritual gifts and skills and using those as for my destiny. So within the next 5 to 10 years, I should also be those should be coming online and using them as part of my life, my
Yeah.
daily life, which is exciting.
Yes, it is.
And the master 22, which is the only one we didn't talk about today, that's the master builder. So my business partner is a 22. That's his life path, which is perfect. Like he and I are able to really support each other well in that in the building of our new business because he's got that part of the skill set versus me. I don't want to get involved in the details.
Hmm.
I want to be the visionary. That's what 11s are. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. That's so interesting.
I know this is so interesting.
I love it. Well, I look forward to watching all of your gifts coming on
First.
board and expanding and blossoming.
Thank you.
Um, so
You're partly helping me bring them on board. So I
I
thank
mean,
you for
you're
that.
helping me too. Seriously, like we were definitely soul family in some other life
Mhm.
for sure. And I love when I meet up with my soul family. I just like I could talk to you forever, and oh my
I
gosh, you
know,
just
I
helped
do
me have a
too.
download.
Yes, I
I
love
love
it
it.
too. Especially because people think I'm freaking nuts in my professional world. Like if I start talking about human design, and I really just started now being more open about my thoughts and beliefs about these things in my professional community. But I have to really tiptoe and be very careful because they think I'm nuts. And but I'm like, but you listen, y'all, like I have a lot of credibility here with my professional background. Like I know what I'm talking about on the finance side. So what makes you think that I'm nuts when it comes to this other stuff that is undeniably real? So I think it's a process, but it's so nice when I have members of my soul family to talk to who just get it. Kind of like when I was a kid, I felt like I didn't belong in the public school environment. When I found my religious community, it was my tribe and they understood me. So now I'm in that same scenario where
Yeah,
instead of school, it's my professional world and
yeah,
my spiritual group friends are my
yeah,
tribe.
yeah. It's so nice to have that.
So nice. I don't have very many, but I'm excited about the ones I have.
Yay. So, what's something that you do on a daily basis that helps you stay balanced in life?
I work out. I lift weights. To me, that is my time to be with myself. I was never very good at being in my body and paying attention to what was happening in my body, which is I think really why I got sick because I had no idea what was happening. I had a lot of childhood trauma, and I think part of that made me kind of dissociate from what was happening in my body because it was just too uncomfortable. And
Mm,
now as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize the importance of being so in tune with it. And what has been kind of a consistent for most of my adult life at least has been feeling a need to exercise and move my body. And that is really it's gotten to be so important that it's almost an obsession to me that I got really upset when we had the snow day a couple of days ago because my gym closed. and they wouldn't let me in. And so, that experience, that hour that I have to my day is just an hour that is just mine. And it is just focused on taking care of my strength and my health. And I'm like listening to music that I enjoy. And it starts off my day on the right foot, feeling very balanced.
That's amazing. I think Cisco can definitely relate to that.
Oh yeah, like I was telling Sharon right before we got, I was like, man, I was gonna work out before, but I'm gonna just wait till we get done. Wait till we get, because I've been hibernating these last since Sunday. Like Sharon knows this about me. If it's when I go just too hard, like I just go do so much that when I stop, like I just shut down, and then like I was like, it's snowing. I'm just gonna go to bed and regenerate. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get all my I'm gonna what do you call that damn? There's that show. I don't know the name of it. It's some kid show, but like they generate and build all their inner. And I'm a big Garmin guy, so like they do body battery. So like I'm always. Do you do Garmin?
No, I try not to have too much electromagnetic frequency on me
Good,
because
good.
I'm sensitive to it.
Are you? But man, this thing like saves me like just from knowing what's going on with my own body. So, and then of course, eating right and exercising. Of course, I always feel better
Go
afterwards.
figure, right?
Yeah. If people
Seems so
only,
simple yet.
yeah, if people knew that, they distractions. I'll just say that society is very distracted.
Cisco, are you a generator or a manifesting generator?
He's a,
Sharon,
you're a generator.
I'm a
He's a
generator,
generator. Okay.
not a
Okay.
manifest.
So
I'm a
that's why we're so similar then with our approach to life.
Yeah,
Yeah. The generators are the ones that have endless amounts of energy, generator
yeah.
and manifesting generator.
I'm more of a casual exercise. Like I'm gonna walk a mile and do some yoga and qigong, kind of like he wants me to do harder stuff, and I'm like, I just oh,
like we'll go for a walk at her house, and there's this hill. I swear, the grade is like this.
I've been walking up and down that hill every day.
Let's walk that hill. She's all like, "Oh no, let's go the other way."
Now, now that I
I don't
have a
like
dog,
cardio either. I just want to lift. I just like I
oh
like
yeah,
feeling like a badass when I can lift something heavy.
that is a badass, and it's gonna be great for menopause. So her lifting
Awesome.
weights is really supposed to help you through the menopause process.
Yeah. Yeah. Keeps
Well,
going strong.
yeah. Thank you, Amy, for being here with us today. We've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me on. We got to talk about some fun topics.
I
So I really
know
appreciate
this
it.
was really fun. Yeah, we'll watch your journey, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about it next year and see where you are.
Check in.
Hopefully making big progress for all of us.
Yes, yes. We
Awesome. Thank
we know
you.
you will. So thank you, Amy.